Okay, so I actually got COVID-19 while playing Pokemon Go. So this video I'm going to be sharing my experiences of having COVID-19 and talk about why I believe that Niantic is making a lot of really bad moves when it comes to Pokemon Go. And I'm going to be giving you some of the reasonings based on my own personal experiences. And yeah, I really do think that if Niantic is not careful, lives are at risk. Now I might be speaking hyperbolically here, but I do think that Pokemon Go is the reason why I got COVID-19. And let me talk about that. So, first and foremost, on December, I think it was 21st, whatever last Tuesday was, that is when I actually went out and got tested because I was feeling a lot of symptoms. And yeah, I tested positive for COVID-19, both on the rapid results test as well as the PCR test. And yeah, the symptoms were pretty bad on Tuesday. I would say I started to feel them around Monday night, but it was really around Tuesday night where I really started to feel just really bad. Like I felt bad headaches, I felt like a crazy amount of sinus congestion, and I was coughing a lot, I was sneezing a lot, and overall, it was pretty miserable. And at first I thought it was just a really bad cold, considering that I am fully vaccinated. I didn't get the booster shot yet, so I just kind of assumed that I was completely immune to the symptoms of COVID-19 and what I contracted was something else. Of course, I took the test, and lo and behold, I was positive. And then for the next couple of days, I had some really bad symptoms, but I basically just slept through all of it, and I was able to come out on top. And then today, December 27th, on Monday, I was tested negative. So yeah, I was someone who was able to defeat COVID. But it's not so much the point of how it was having COVID that I want to talk about, it's more about how I probably got this disease. So if I really think back on where I could have contracted this virus, I could only think of one of two events, and they all happened on the same weekend. The first event, of course, was going to see Spider-Man No Way Home. And of course that was a big movie, so a lot of people were there, like it was a packed theater. And I went to see it on Friday night at 10:30 p.m., which, you know, it was a packed theater. There was a lot of people that were already at the theater beforehand, so naturally, you know, if I were to have gotten COVID, I would have gotten it there. The key thing though is I went to go see it with the wife, and the wife did not have COVID. She did not test positive, even while being home with me. So, you know, I don't think it was there that I got it. And of course, Spider-Man wasn't the first movie that I saw, like, while COVID-19 was a big thing. Like, of course, I've kind of already gotten into a habit of best practices. Like, I always bring my own wipes and I wipe down the seat. I kind of show up like minutes before the movie starts so that I don't have to deal with a lot of people as they're moving around trying to find their seats and different things like that. You know, like, I've kind of just, you know, built around a lot of habits on keeping myself safe while at a movie theater. So that all kind of leads me to think that the other event that happened that weekend is probably where I contracted this virus. And yes, it was December Community Day. Now during this particular Community Day, on the first day, which was Saturday, I actually met up with a lot of different friends from a lot of different neighborhoods, and it was the first time I've seen some of these people, and it was the first time that I've interacted with them on a one-on-one basis. And yes, I do think that with all of the interactions that I had on Saturday, that is probably where I ended up picking up this virus. Now, I didn't contact every single person I came across on Saturday, but I did talk to a good number of people, and it seems like some of them were experiencing symptoms as well, but they were describing it as just a common cold, so I don't necessarily know if they contracted COVID, but it's highly possible with the amount of people that I talked to and interacted with on Saturday that it was where I picked up this virus. Which is the key important thing that I want to talk about here, is because when it comes to Pokemon Go and the way Niantic is handling this game, I still do not think of it as a safe game to play right now. Because me, myself, as someone who is fully vaccinated, who practices a lot of safe measures to make sure I do not get this virus, even I was able to test positive for COVID-19 and contract this virus after interacting interacting with so many different people on Saturday. And of course, not only did I end up putting myself at risk, but I ended up putting a lot of my loved ones at risk. I was supposed to meet my parents over Christmas, and of course I had to cancel that. My wife was with me this whole time. Thank goodness that she tested negative throughout the entire time. Like, she was constantly getting tested herself because of course she was in the same household with someone who had tested positive. So naturally, you know, it was just one of those experiences that I really do not want to go through again. Like, I was pretty much living alone in my basement. I was not able to go out. I mean, of course we do have a shower and everything down here, but it was pretty miserable to be in one small area for, you know, 8 days straight. And, you know, I really do think a lot of this could have been avoided if Niantic kind of included a lot more stuff. I'm not putting all of this on Niantic, of course. Let me be really clear about that. I don't think it's Niantic's fault that I had COVID-19. It's an activity that I chose to participate in that is part of a game that Niantic makes. So I totally recognize that a lot of it is on me. Like, getting this virus is totally on me. Like, I could have chosen not to meet a lot of people on Saturday, but, you know, I could have said the same thing about Pokémon GO Fest earlier this year, or the Kanto Tour event that we had near the beginning of the year where COVID-19 was a lot more problematic. You know, it's really not so much that I blame Niantic for having these sort of events, but it's more about the way they treat COVID-19 in light of their own game. Of course, many of you may be familiar with this, but over the past year, we've had this whole back and forth with Niantic about, you know, the distance at which we can interact with Pokestops, and a lot of people were pointing out that the pandemic is still a problem all across the world, and I do believe that is true. I mean, as someone who actually contracted this virus, I can tell you that the reality of COVID is still pretty big, and if you're not vaccinated, if you're not protecting yourself, then I really do think you need to get on that, because even when it comes to the vaccine, I know some people have different opinions about it, but I do believe that my symptoms were not as bad as they could have been if not for the vaccine. So I do actually encourage people to go out and get vaccinated. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that is totally your choice. But I highly encourage you go and get it, including the booster. But in any case, I do think that the way Niantic has kind of treated Pokémon Go and all of their different games is completely based on a lot of just, I don't know, just because the vaccine is out, because a lot of restrictions are starting to get lifted in certain parts of the world, they feel like that gives them the right to completely take away a lot of these bonuses, and I think that is completely false. I do think that the game needs to be in a place where it can be fun if you choose to go out and play outside, or if you choose to play indoors or play safely from a distance. Like, I do think that there needs to be both in Pokémon Go moving forward, because of course recently the big backlash has been the upcoming nerf to remote raid damage. I do think that this is something that Niantic needs to reconsider. This is going to be the Heroes Niantic of 2022. Just speaking for myself as someone who got COVID, and speaking for a lot of other people who share this opinion, Niantic, I don't think you get it. I don't think you understand the severity of this virus, the severity of how easily you can get this virus, and of course, just the fact that this is always going to be a part of us from now on. Much like how it is with the TSA and like going through an airport after 9/11, like this is what life is going to be like now after COVID-19. COVID-19 is always going to be a reality. There's always going to be vaccines, there's always going to be testing centers, because this virus is never going to go away. I know that sounds very grim, but this is something that Niantic needs to understand is a reality of the world now. For them to go and start taking away pandemic stuff from Pokémon Go, I think is the complete wrong move. What they need to do is keep this stuff and design the game and balance the game around them. Because like I said, you can enjoy the game right now with these pandemic bonuses if you want to go out and explore, but you can also enjoy them from home. There's a good balance right now. Like, I do like the fact that there is increased Pokestop distance. You still have to go out and actually get to Pokestops. Like, unless you have a Pokestop like near you, you will not be able to reach it unless you still go out of your house and, you know, move to that location. And sure, you can interact with it at a much further distance, but you're still in the general vicinity. I think this was the whole point of the Heroes Niantic movement that we had earlier this year. Now, on the same token, with the remote raid pass thing, like, That is something that Niantic implemented, I do believe, as a response to the pandemic, but I think it's something that they've always had in the pipeline, and it was because of the pandemic that they kind of expedited that feature into Pokémon Go. And now that it's here, I do think that they need to keep it the way it is. Of course, the reason for that is because one of the only ways I could actually play Pokémon Go while I was at home isolated and quarantined was through the remote raid pass, because obviously I don't have any gyms or Pokéstops in touching distance. So, you know, I do think that for some people who are stuck at home, for some countries that are going through lockdowns once again, and for some places where there are no restrictions and players are just allowed to do whatever they want, you know, the game as it currently is right now has a really good balance. So I don't understand why Niantic wants to disrupt that. So yeah, Niantic, if you happen to be watching this, which I'm guessing you're gonna end up watching this because of the title of the video, I really do think that for 2022, you need to reconsider some of the decisions that you're making and make the game friendly for both people who are choosing to isolate themselves as well as people who will want to go out and explore. I'm telling you this right now as a player, as someone who loves to go out and explore, and someone who likes to play from home. The game has a perfect balance right now. The game is doing really good for players who want to go out and play, because of course if you want to do those remote raids, you need someone out there to actually engage with those raids, right? Like, so, you know, it's just the way that they have it set as of right now. There's a lot of things they can do to fine tune it, but if they get rid of some of these pandemic bonuses, they're going to vastly disrupt that sort of balanced gameplay. So Niantic, I'm telling you, these things are working right now. You want to keep developing on this stuff rather than taking them away thinking, oh, everything's going to go back to normal, because we are in a place in this world where things will never go back to normal. This is the new real. This is the new normal. So you need to get with it rather than trying to backpedal to the past that's never going to come. So yeah, these are some of the things I wanted to share based on some of my experiences over the past week. My God, it was quite a journey. I mean, yes, I went through COVID, I survived COVID, and as a Pokemon Go player, I'm really concerned about where Niantic is going. As someone who contracted COVID while playing Pokemon Go, and as someone who is worried to have loved ones get COVID from them playing Pokemon Go. And yeah, again, I want to totally emphasize that I don't blame Niantic. Again, a lot of this is on me. I made the decisions to go out and play Pokemon Go and meet all the people that I did. And for all I know, it wasn't even at December Community Day where I got COVID. You know, there's plenty of other places where I could have gotten it. But regardless, yeah, I got COVID. I was able to get through it. The symptoms were mild, all thanks to the vaccine. And yeah, you know, I just really hope Niantic ends up watching this so that they can learn from my experiences and make Pokemon Go a better experience for everyone. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all later.